Welcome into the Broncos Breakdown. I'm your host, Matthew Peterson, and on today's show, I've got 5 college quarterbacks you guys should be watching for, because these may be names that are tossed around when the NFL draft in April comes about, and the Broncos, if they don't make a big trade for Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson, they probably will look to draft one of these 5 guys. So I've got 5 names to keep an eye on for, kind of a combination of names I like and names I think the Broncos would pursue. So somewhere in between those two right there. But first, I think it's important to at least look at the depth chart. And I just want to verbalize what the future is for these 3 players. So Teddy Bridgewater, his contract is up after this year. And unless they go on to win 2 playoff games. Not just win a playoff game, but win 2 playoff games. I just think the Broncos will want to go a different direction after the season. Drew Lock, if the Broncos cut him after this year, they'll save about $1.4 million against the cap, if I did my math right, and I think that's an avenue they'll want to explore. And then Brett Rippon, practice squad, he's just going to be a lifelong Bronco backup most likely. So I could see 2 or possibly even all 3 of these guys out of the quarterback room at the end of this year. And with that said, they will want to pursue other avenues. So before I give you my 5 names to keep an eye on for, I got some honorable mentions. Probably the biggest name right here is Spencer Rattler, the former projected number 1 overall pick before the season. Probably should never have played a snap because all it did was hurt his draft stock. I don't know if Rattler's going to go to the draft or if he's going to want to transfer to another school and build his draft stock back up again, but I'm not including Rattler as one of my 5 quarterbacks to watch for. And then Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett, if John Elway was still in charge, Kenny Pickett would be taken first overall by Denver. He is like next Brock Osweiler kind of. Big quarterback, old, kind of a Walmart Brandon Weeden, if you will. I like Pickett, but I just don't love him to be in the top 5. So sorry, Kenny, you're not cracking the top 5. I also want to point out what the Broncos have in the 2022 NFL Draft. That Von Miller trade gave them 2 more picks in the top 100. So if Denver does not make a big splash trade, the biggest trade in NFL history potentially even, they could package and bundle some of those 2nd and 3rd round picks together and move up in the 1st round, kind of like what San Francisco did to get Trey Lance. So just keep that in mind, although this is a conversation we're going to have in much more detail once the season is over. But it's the middle of the week, so why not peek ahead a little bit, have a little fun. With that said, go ahead and like this video if you are ready for a QB-filled offseason. It was fun last year talking to Rodgers. It was fun talking to Sean Watson while that lasted, and even a little Russell Wilson. So go ahead and like this video if you are ready for a quarterback-filled offseason. There's no offseason in the NFL. Everything's in season, essentially, and the Broncos will be busy, I bet, this offseason. My first quarterback up is Desmond Ridder, the Cincinnati Bearcats quarterback. So got a stat at the top there. You guys can check that out. 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's an athletic, dual-threat quarterback. And that's a big bonus because in this day and age in the NFL, the Ben Roethlisbergers, the Eli Mannings, the Phillip Rivers, they seem to be a thing of the past. Teams want at least a mobile quarterback, and they're kind of giving up a little bit on the pocket quarterback. And he checks that Elway box of tall. Elway loves tall quarterbacks, 6'4". Even if Elway's not calling the shots anymore, you damn well know he will have a voice in this quarterback selection if the Broncos do make a first-round pick at a quarterback. Career stats here for Ridder, over 9,000 yards, 77 touchdowns, 25 interceptions. He has been there for quite some time. 3-star quarterback coming out of high school, 4 seasons as Cincinnati's quarterback, and he's got the Bearcats doing something. I mean, this Cincinnati team is not all the way at the top of the rankings or close to it, and probably not high enough if it's not for his play. With that said, we'll pivot a little bit. We're going to take a little tiny break from the Broncos talk and just talk a little college football here on the breakdown. Where would you rank Cincinnati? And when I record this right now, we're still waiting for the 2nd week of the College Football Committee's rankings. We'll see if Cincinnati moves up a little bit. I sure hope so. I think they're getting robbed. But let me know what you think down below. Next one I want to talk about is Sam Howell, the UNC quarterback who came into this came into this season as one of the best quarterbacks and has kind of been a letdown this year. I think it's important to note that the UNC offense doesn't really translate well to the pros. Now, Mitchell Trubisky, when he was with UNC, it's not apples to apples to what Sam Howell is dealing with in terms of the play calling, but it's a lot of RPOs. It's not a ton of pre-snap reads at UNC, and things like that GMs pick up on, and they probably will kind of learned their lesson from Trubisky a little bit. So I got Sam Howell coming in at number 4, but he does appear to be one of the most pro-ready quarterbacks. Since stepping foot on campus at Chapel Hill, he has played every game. He has been there for 3 seasons already, and the numbers have kind of gotten worse. His junior year, granted, I think was his best year. I wouldn't read too much into the drop down and touchdowns, but overall, his junior year, he looked more like a pro-ready kind of quarterback. Kind of does a little bit of everything well, doesn't do anything great. And this year, it's kind of shown. I'm not sure why. I'm not a quarterback guru. You could talk to someone else about that. But regardless, he has taken a step back. So for me, he's fallen back in my rankings. He is at number 4. Broncos fans, before I give you number 3, subscribe if you want a good quarterback. Don't we all? Don't be the guy that doesn't subscribe, and the next year we're talking about another trash quarterback. And Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater are not trash, but it's been hot garbage since the sheriff left. So subscribe right now, because I don't want you in a year from now thinking, oh my gosh, if only I subscribed. That's how it works, right? That's how the universe works. So subscribe today. Number 3, Carson Strong. How about some Mountain West talk here coming out of Nevada? He has not had a ton of experience, and that's kind of a knock, but he does have a cannon of an arm. And scouts and GMs, they'll drool over cannons of an arm because they kind of look at that as the next Josh Allen. They can just tweak some other things here and there, but if you've got the talent, if you've got the arm strength, they'll get everything else with it. The pre-snap reads, the little things that make a quarterback great. However, he's got some mobility issues. There was a rumor that maybe he's had some knee injuries. That was talked about in his QB draft profile. So the lack of mobility is a concern for me, and that's why I've got him at 3, because, again, you're just seeing a trend of quarterbacks with extra mobility who can improvise a little bit. Not necessarily runners, but the Trey Lance and the Justin Fields. That's really what GMs are going after right now. They don't want the cinder block feet quarterbacks of the early 2000s. And that's why maybe he's the next Zach Wilson. Not that Zach Wilson's not fast, but to me, Carson Strong, I'm not really seeing a ton right now to warrant why he'd be a first-round pick. But when the season comes to an end and he's out there at his pro day, maybe that's when he lights up the field with no defense on, kind of like Zach Wilson did. Zach Wilson a year ago right now was not a projected second overall pick. But once the season ended and he didn't have to go up against lesser competition like BYU does, maybe then in pro days and things like that at the combine, he can really shine and be the next guy that goes, where did he come from? Well, it happens every year. Maybe this year it is Carson Strong. Number 2 and 1 are coming up, but first, check out our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Hook yourself up with a 125% deposit bonus, and all you got to do is go to chatsports.com/bet. Use this promo code right there, Broncos125, and you are locked in not only to a 125% deposit bonus, but you are 90% of the way there to a free jersey. That's right. Take a screenshot, take a picture of this screen right now, because all you got to do to get a free Broncos jersey is follow these 4 simple steps. Chatsports.com/bet. Got to use that link along with the promo code Broncos125. When you sign up, you deposit $100, you're going to get a 125% deposit bonus. So now you got $225 to play with, and then email us jersey@chatsports.com. Make sure to include your BetUS account number along with a screenshot of your first bet. And boom, holiday season's right here, and you are the lucky one giving your loved one a Jerry Jeudy, a Bradley Chubb jersey. Whatever it may be, you're the one that is the king of the castle, right? So make sure you lock yourself in. Be the hero this holiday season with a jersey on us. And all you got to do is gamble. Are you serious? This is the best deal ever. You get to gamble, and you get a free Christmas gift to give to someone else. It does not get any better than that. So check us out. Make sure you follow these steps right here. Email us jersey@chatsports.com with your BetUS account number and a screenshot of your first bet. On to number 2, Malik Willis, the Liberty quarterback. Every year we get a quarterback from a non-Power 5, a lesser school, who is lighting up the scoreboard, and this year it's Malik Willis. He's a gunslinger, and he's a dual-threat quarterback. So he's got the physical attributes. To me, though, the biggest con, he needs to improve his decision-making ability. Right now, he's kind of like a Walmart Brett Favre. He has some things he needs to improve on, but we've seen the arm strength. He can chuck it down the field. He's shown a lot of great qualities. So Malik Willis, to me, he's coming in at number 2. Doesn't play the big-name schools, but so what? There's plenty of great quarterbacks that don't come out of big Power 5 schools that have great pro careers. Look at Josh Allen. He was playing at Wyoming, okay? Don't read too much into that, but Malik Willis, I loved what I've seen so far out of him. Would just like to see him be a little smarter with the ball and overall just kind of better awareness. I think that's the biggest thing you're going to see out of this quarterback class right now compared to last year. They're all just lacking a little bit in every single column compared to how loaded the crop was a year ago. Coming in at number 1, Matt Corral, the Ole Miss quarterback, was not seen as a top quarterback coming into this season, but what he's done so far, he's put up Heisman-esque numbers. 2,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's mobile, 10 on the ground. I don't expect that to carry over to the pros. Those defensive linemen are way faster in the NFL than what he's seeing at the likes of Tennessee and Mississippi State. But he does check a lot of boxes, and he possesses enough athleticism to get by. And what I mean by that is he's not going to be a big runner, but he can move around the pocket a little bit, and he has enough speed to improvise, and when shit hits the fan, for lack of a better term, he can make something out of nothing. He is a little undersized, and to me, it's kind of like, I don't know, I wouldn't say the next Baker Mayfield, but I think it's kind of a similar comp right there, where Baker wasn't the biggest guy. Baker can do a lot of things well. He's still trying to do a couple things great, and I think that's where Matt Corral comes in. If Matt Corral was drafted, if he was in last year's draft class, I would suspect he wouldn't have been even the first 4 or top 4 quarterbacks taken, probably the 5th. So I think it really speaks volumes to this quarterback class just isn't that great. And I think the Broncos, they know that, and that's why they're probably going to pursue a trade. But if a trade can't happen, these are 5 names to keep an eye on for. So let's you guys in on the conversation. Who do you want the Broncos to draft? Is it one of these 5 guys? Is it someone I miss? Let me know. Let me hear it in the comment section of who you want Denver to draft. We got a lot of football left, but the offseason is pretty much the regular season. No days off in the NFL, and it's fun to peek ahead because I love mock drafts. We got a great mock draft video, so check us out at Chat Sports, our main channel. Tom Downey does a great mock draft. Always keep it up to date, so I'll put that link actually in the comments and the description of this video. And also, if you have not already, follow me on Twitter at Matthew Petey. Always talking Broncos, talking shop, NFL, college football. It's a fun follow, so check me out on Twitter and sauce me a follow.